Hey, third grade. We have an assignment today that's going to involve really examining and analyzing our illustrations. And we are adding illustrations to our questioning strategy. We're learning how to be skilled readers here in third grade. And skilled readers, they use illustrations from the books they are reading and ask themselves questions. And I have 3 books here that we're going to use to analyze some of, actually 4, because we're going to talk about this one too again, to analyze some of the illustrations here. And then we have a reading assignment in our writer's notebook today. We have a reading assignment on page 18. And our first assignment asked, it says, here. It says, read chapter 6 of Dinosaurs Before Dark, then answer the question below. We read chapter 6 already. We read chapter 6 yesterday. So what did you learn about anatosauruses? What details in the text helped you learn about them? So we also did like a little mini research project to prove that what we were learning about anatosauruses were actually indeed facts, and a lot of you have done that. And we found out that they are actual facts that are in this book. They are true facts about anatosauruses. So you have to write here, what did you learn from the Magic Tree House about anatosauruses? So let's take a look at chapter 6 here. And you have to reread chapter 6 and tell me, what did you learn about the anatosaurus? Here's a picture, an illustration of the anatosaurus and the nest. What did you learn about the anatosaurus? There's a lot of information here on page 36 about the anatosaurus. So this is where you're going to find your answer. So make sure you get your Magic Tree House book. You cannot answer this question without it. And I want to see third grade sentences, meaning I want to see you flip this question like I have taught you. What did you learn about anatosauruses? If you want to know how to spell anatosaurus correctly, it's right here. Use the words in your question to make your sentence. I learned that anatosaurus is, and then add what you want to say. Needs to be complete third grade sentences. Use the words up here to help you. And it says, what details in the text helped you learn about them? You have to pick relevant, specific details from the text to answer this question. What details from the text? The text said that anatosaurus is, and then write out the answer. So I need 2 sentences at least for this one. What did you learn about anatosauruses? I learned that anatosauruses, tell me what you learned, period. What details in the text helped you learn this? The detail about in the text helped me learn that fact. Right on these lines. Now, we're going to focus now on this part of the assignment, which it says, read pages 4 through 7 of the Pteranodon in your independent reading library on the ARC bookshelf. You don't have access to this book, I don't believe, but I will check on that. We're going to read it together. I don't believe this book is on the ARC bookshelf, but I am going to take a look at it. But we're going to read these pages together anyway, so you can have help with this question. So it says read pages 4 and 7, then answer the question below. So we're actually going to be reviewing chapter 4 for this question, because it says, based on what you read about the Pteranodon, how accurate, that means how true, are the illustrations in chapter 4 of Dinosaurs Before Dark? Accurate means factual, realistic. So let's take a look. We're going to do that together. So it's pages 4 through 7. And we read some of this because we learned a little bit about pteranodons already. And look at the illustrations. Here's an illustration here. Remember we learned that pteranodons were flying reptiles? We've read this page, but I'm going to read it again. And we talked a lot about the crest on top of their head and what that means. That's how they found their mates. So let's read some more to refresh our memories. Meet the pteranodon. Have you ever heard of the pteranodon? If you thought the pteranodon was a flying dinosaur, you were wrong. It is true that the pteranodon was a prehistoric flying reptile. It is also true that it lived during the age of the dinosaurs. The pteranodon was not a dinosaur, though. Flying reptiles such as the pteranodon belonged to a group of animals called the pterosaurs. Pterosaurs and dinosaurs were close relatives, but not the same. Close relatives, not the same. Paleontologists, that word's bolded because in the back of nonfiction text, especially factual ones, there's usually a glossary, and it's bolded. That word's bolded because it's telling you can find that word in the glossary. It says paleontologists, people who study things that lived in the past. Paleontologists have learned a lot about the pteranodon by studying its fossils. That word is also in the back of the glossary. So whenever you see a bolded word in a nonfiction factual book, you should go in the glossary and try to find it, especially if you don't know the meaning. Fossils, the hardened remains of a dead animal or plant. It's not just animals. For example, they know that the pteranodon had a short tail and a crest on its head. Let's look at chapter 4. Because that's what it says here we have to do. We have to look at chapter 4. Let's look at chapter 4. And we're going to compare the illustrations here. Because this shows in this illustration that a pteranodon has a short tail and a crest on its head. I'm going to go to chapter 4. It says that chapter 4, I'm going to look at the contents. Chapter 4 was called Henry. Because that's what Annie named the pteranodon. And it's on page 16. I'm going to go to 16. Here it is. Now we're going to flip through and find the illustrations in chapter 4. Here it is. Here's one. Take a look at this. Is this accurate compared to this book? How accurate are the illustrations in chapter 4? What's your opinion? They both include the crest. Here's a crest. This one's a little bit rounder, but they just take guesses at all of it. They have scissor mouths. That's the same. And Jack even said that. Jack said mouth like scissors. It shows its wings as well. Look at its talons. See what else. Oh, that's it. That's the only pteranodon picture we have. Oh, here's another one, but this isn't in chapter 4, but it can give you another idea of how our Magic Treehouse book illustrated a pteranodon compared to a nonfiction text. What do you think? Realistic or not? Do you think this is realistic? Do you think they gave enough details about a pteranodon? You can even look at the front cover. What's your opinion?